So this is Everett Pierce, and it's December the 20th. And we have President Trump. We got rid of the elect part. So, it is awesome. We have not got this far along in our evolution. And so, I have a lot of fire. As I say, I got a lot of fire coming out of my ass. I'm excited. But we're not out of the woods yet. So, if you don't know me, my name is Everett Pierce. I'm the Pie Man. My previous life was Abraham Lincoln, Albert Einstein. So, in this video of Duly Noted 11B, okay, the first part, 11A, we was talking about in the brief introductory of the Electoral College and the popular vote, and in the brief sense. Well, there's enough there in part A is to give you a good idea as to why we have these two systems and where they belong. You know, it's like, why do we have our nose here versus on our tailbone? I'm not even going to explain why. And if you don't know why, but placement. Placement is very important. Popular vote is on the state, and the electoral vote is pertaining to 50 states. Now, what I heard today on Bill O'Reilly's show, actually not Bill O'Reilly, I'm sorry. By the way, Bill O'Reilly just slammed it out of the park today. He's on a status now AA+. That's usually, that status is seventh heaven, by the way. Okay, no, it was Tucker Carlson. And he was talking to this individual, and they were talking, you know, he had the discrepancy, and he was talking about how Donald Trump, since he hasn't held a public office, that was so wrong. Okay? Well, when I say I'm not a scholar of this, if I'm not a scholar of this, it would automatically would tell you it's either I'm stupid, I don't know a goddamn thing, or maybe I'm just the author of this concept. And I'm the author. And let me tell you why. When you come forward and you say, well, you can't elect President Trump because he has not held a office. Okay, you got to look at it in many different angles. And say, why? You got to look at the pros and the cons and factor in human behavior. Okay, I just want to show you real briefly. In the mirror, you can see I'm not reading from a teleprompter. It's all coming from here. Because lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and research after research after research, it's just some things that follow you no matter what lifetime that you're in, what life you're living. Okay, one of the biggest problems, and Tucker Carlson, I will say, is today in his show, A and 6 plus signs. And the way he got out there and performed, being a energy tiger, it was just freaking awesome. He couldn't have done any better on that today's show. And we just, okay, so take the time to watch it if you haven't seen it. So that's what I'm referring to. This guy may mention about, since Donald Trump hasn't held a public office, that makes him ineligible to be president. Now let me tell you one of the biggest downsits, the drawbacks, when you're looking at pros and cons. Okay, factoring human behavior, as we are discovering, as more and more things come to the surface. Okay, when you're insisting public office, and, you know, they're giving this solution like, we want to know if he can do the job, and putting that sincere, good American citizen, we just want to do, you know, make sure he can do the job. Okay, it's like, take that shit away from me. we're dealing with human behavior. You can't take that element out. You know, people chose the tree of good and evil, meaning positive and negative. Meaning that they want you in office because they want to see how you perform. Okay, in human behavior of the negative. God forbid someone is going to think negative, right? And destructive and deceit and everything else and corrupted. Oh, wow, where'd that word come from? Corrupted? Does that actually happen in our government? Please, oh, that never happens. Ever, right? Okay, so anyways, when I get in a government office, by then there's been enough experience of this individual for those that are corrupted, they know where his head's at. Is he open to bribery? Is he a Democrat? And then they kind of feel him out where he's at. And then they say, okay, we can use him for this and use this, especially if it's corrupted. Okay? But if you're not holding a public office, which I know this is going to be profound, they don't know where his head's at. And that's why they have been trying to figure out Mr. Trump throughout this whole election, because he is in the seventh heaven spirit, a general, which is double A and 3 plus signs, which is excellent, by the way. Okay, but because of spiritual amnesia, we had to tone him down to make it a fair fight. Okay, so that's why they're so concerned. He hasn't held a public office. We don't know if he's qualified to do the job. You know, like they're really concerned, right? But it really comes down to is they want in public office. I mean, it's important. I mean, in all seriousness, you know, it's always if the person's qualified and capable of doing the job. Well, that doesn't matter where you're coming from. Okay, but it was mainly and primarily for the advantage is know where your head's at, and if you are corruptive, that we can use you further up in the line of our hidden agenda, because it's hard to prove intent unless someone just comes out and says, I there's so many agendas out there. You know, they always come up with, I am a good Samaritan citizen of our country and our co-founders. And see, we're dealing with human behaviors. Okay, so that's one of the biggest drawbacks to someone holding public office. And that's why they're so concerned that Donald Trump, who hasn't held a public office, because they don't know where his head's at. And he's already said that, hey, I'm not controlled by your money. I'm not controlled by your lobbyists. Deal with it. And that's why they're also so concerned. And that's why they've always pushed, you know, that envelope. Well, first of all, that doesn't represent democracy. You say, well, that's unconstitutional. He has to hold an office. Please, for the love of God. Okay. That's the reason why they have done that. They want to know where your head's at, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. Are you corruptive? Or, you know, and if you don't fit their hidden agendas, then you get kind of pushed down. Okay, but if they can use you, then you get kind of slid up the chain. I know. I'm an author of this, and as an author, I have to foresee every angle in terms of factoring human behavior, the pros and the cons. I also have to factor in the event someone, or say like our enemy, gets in there, how to identify things, how to fix certain things. You know, how do you know? I mean, just everything. You have to know it in and out. So if you're going to be an author, you're going to beyond knowledge than just someone being a scholar of it, because there's a lot of stuff that's missing in translation that only the author would know. So holding a government official office is crap. I can tell you it's crap. You want to implement the two-factor. If you're qualified, you have the skill set, that can come from all walks of life. But that's the reason why they have always pushed that. Holding the government office so we know he's qualified. No, it's because they don't know where his head is, and it's like, now Donald Trump's going to come in and act like contrast, and it's like, and their nonsense are essentially is going to be exposed, and then they are going to look like the pathetic fools and thieves and whatever else that they've been engaged into, giving the false illusion to the American people that they're for the people and by the people and of the people. And that's why it's just, this is huge. This is historical. You know, it looks like the book Unprecedented. You know, it's a perfect name for what's happening. And that's why everyone seems to have their panties in a wad. Is they know their legacy of this nonsense is done. I mean, there still has to be a little element of nonsense in there, just like positive and negative. But you got to keep that to a minimum and keep your government highly functional. I know, I'm an author of this. There's not anything, or say, there's very little things that you can do or say or implement in our government or in this nation that I haven't already thought about. Okay? And that's why I say most, you know. So I always say that because there could very well be something that I didn't think about. Okay? And that's the mindset you have to be on. So the prerequisite, as they say, I'm from Harvard, and so you have to have the prerequisite of holding a government position. And I say, you're so full of shit. No. What comes down to, do you have the skill sets to be a president? Period. And that's what's got them in an uproar. They don't know what he's going to do. He's going to snitch these people out. He's going to kick them out. Yeah, he already said what Trump said his agenda is. He's going to drain the swamp. He's going to get rid of the nonsense. So if you are about nonsense, then you know where you stand in terms of your position and your job. You're gone. You're gone. Unfortunately, we have to look forward 4 billion years into the future. Not continue doing an evolutionary reset over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Just like I said as Einstein. You know what's insanity? Is doing things over and over and over and over and over and over and expecting different results. You want different results? Then try something freaking different. You know, it's like I keep hitting this light switch. Why is my light come on? I want my lawn to be mowed. I mean, that's the insanity of this. That's why I said that quote back then. You know, when I say certain quotes, I can also explain it on a level that would surpass the encyclopedia and it would make it look like a brochure on your freaking doorstep. I don't say things without knowing it extensively. Taking one single word and you can write an encyclopedia about it. That's the level in which I'm on. A lot of people would be lucky, you know, they sling words around. I call word slinging. It's like they know just enough of it briefly, what that word is, but they don't know it in its entirety. The do's and don'ts and the goods and the bads and how to misuse it and properly use it. So, okay, so I hope I have, well, I don't hope, that's me being modest. I have established beyond a shadow of a doubt, we hold these truths to be self-evident. It is not required to hold a public office because that was being used beyond just having the credentials of being able to carry out a position. They want to know where your head is at, and then once they establish where your head at and what you're willing to do and how much level you're willing to be corrupted with, and especially when we see a lot of capitalism mixed in, separation of church and state. Have you ever heard of that? Just coincidentally, First Amendment, you know, the government is considered a religion. The state, what's in a state, any state, is either we the people or capitalism. Separation of government and capitalism. Okay, I understand all the facets. From capitalism, everything, I understand the value of everything. It's like little pieces to the Ferrari motor. And how where their placement and how they're supposed to function, working together. I understand all that. That's why these principles were put in place. And also taking account of human behaviors. So you put certain things in place to keep the honest man honest, and most importantly, fair And what's even more important than that is bringing about high punctuality in the positive sense. So we have established beyond a shadow of a doubt this notion that you have to hold a public office is crap, and crap. Okay, I don't have to take it further than the word crap and get into more details. But if you want to, I can elaborate on crap. Not that I want to. But you don't have a leg to stand on. Not with me. When it comes to the presidential position, me being a president of presidents, being Abraham Lincoln, president of presidents, I know that position. I owned it. Okay, so I'm going to know every facet of it and how to put it at its highest punctuality, because I'm an author. Original author. Well, mind you, we'll add a little more clarity to it, because a lot of people can be authors of things. There's a lot of people, they take my stuff and they present it as if they are the author, the owner of it, like the creator of that. And all they done is just took stuff from me and say, look, I'm a numerologist. I am a master numerologist. And say, yeah, you're a master of bullshit. So, yeah. Anyone else out there, Democrats, you want to bring some more crap, I would say, just drop it. Your legacy's done. It is done. You're dealing with someone who's an author of this. So you're not going to pass any nonsense through me. I wrote it. I designed it. I spent many lifetimes analyzing it, reanalyzing it, tweaking it. And that's how I know it. By pushing it too far, it pushes you back. And how you know you're right up on it. And if you go, like flipping the coin, like I was explaining in other videos, and that's the reason why Hillary lost. She took the thing up and then flipped the coin. And then her voters, her followers, helped her flip the coin. And then the Democrats, in general, as we're seeing out there, they're flipping the second coin. They flip that third coin, it'll be 300 years before a Democrat gets voted in as a president. And it's like they can't humble themselves. It's like they got to mudsling and throw things around. Yeah, you're not going to bring nonsense to me. So, and I'm trying to be careful not to, what to say, put you in a position where you look so freaking pathetic, you're going to crawl and eat that rock and never come out. Because you're not doing me any good or anyone else out here any good. So, but on the same token, I cannot allow your nonsense to keep on, because that is what partakes in the evolutional reset. Because they start over, and then we get engaged in a war, and millions of people die, and then God has to step in, or energy as I like to call it, and puts an element of mercy, which is also known as Armageddon, and they keep from extinction to try it over again. Like video games, you just hit a reset. Except for the only one that can do a reset is the higher evolution. So every evolution reset is roughly 4 billion years, give or take. Okay, so holding a public office, you don't have a leg to stand on. And you can't go in the direction of credentials, the qualifications of doing the job, because that can come from many spectrums of people. And I would say that Trump, being a billionaire, I say a millionaire, and you can say, well, he just stole a lot of money. Be a billionaire at certain levels there. You have skill sets. You don't become a billionaire just by accident and because you're just a really good thief. No, it's because you got good skill sets. So, anyways, we'll end it right there. on this part 11B. I'm not sure what the next part C will be, but the Democrats keep bringing it out because your nonsense will not work. It will not work, and I can explain to you exactly, and I'm just giving you an introductory to why it's nonsense. So, I don't think you want me to take it to a 20 million mile explanation with facts and rationale and science, because I've been there. I've hit it all directions. So I would say let's not go in that direction. And then you're stuck underneath the rock and we never see you for the next billion years. So anyways, we'll end it right there. This is Everett Pierce on December the 20th, 2016. My name is Everett Pierce of Einstein 314. Thank you and Godspeed.